Time, a concept so valued by society, yet often taken for granted. Let me ask you, are you aware of the things you take for granted? Let's start with the plants, trees, and flowers around you. For short, flora, a thing of beauty designed to keep us alive, yet do we know how they stay alive? And with time, are we killing them? This is, taken for granted, humans and our poison and flora. Give us a portion of your time to learn and save the precious time left of our flora.
Now we're going to discuss what biogeochemical cycle is. Biogeochemical cycle moves chemical and nutrients through an ecosystem, living and non-living parts. Carbon, nitrogen, phosphorus, sulfur, and water cycle through the atmosphere, soil, water, and living things. All living things depend on biochemical cycles to sustain an ecosystem nutritional balance. Photosynthesis, respiration, decomposition, and plant and animal nutrition intake comprises the cycle. Each of the cycle is unique, but they all depend on each other. Any cycle disturbance can affect ecosystem function. One of the biochemical cycle is the sulfur cycle. The sulfur cycle, as described by LiverTech 2022, is the mechanism through which the sulfur is distributed throughout the ecosystem. Microorganism may convert sulfur among its various chemical forms and it's taken in by organisms, released as a decay. There is a link between vegetation and sulfur cycle. Plants can't flourish without sulfur. Therefore, the availability of sulfur is crucial to plant growth and yield. The mechanism of the sulfur cycle raises the concentration of sulfur in the atmosphere. According to Lumen, no date, sulfur compounds are released into soil during the significant process of rock weathering. Moreover, sulfur dioxide or SO2 is released in the atmosphere as a result of volcanic eruption and the combustion of fossil fuels. Sulfur from the ground or the air can be taken up by the plant's roots or leaves. Environmental sulfur availability can affect the plant growth, hence understanding the sulfur cycle is important. That's all. Thank you.
Have you heard the term anthropogenic before? It refers to something that is caused by human activity and is having a significant impact on our planet. The effect of anthropogenic activities are widespread and damaging. We are seeing deforestation, pollution, and depletion of natural resources, all of which are caused by human actions. Perhaps the most well-known example of anthropogenic effect is climate change. The burning of fossil fuels, the destruction of natural habitats, and other human activities are contributing to rising global temperatures and resulting change in our climate. However, there is hope. We can take steps to reduce our impact on the planet and mitigate the effects of anthropogenic activity by transitioning to a renewable energy source, conserving resources, and making more sustainable choices. We can work towards a healthier planet. So, let's take action and work towards a sustainable future for ourselves and the planet.
Invasive species. So, what is invasive species? According to Rafferty, year 2023, invasive species, also called as introduced, alien, or exotic species, are non-native species that significantly modify or disrupt the ecosystem it colonizes. Such species may arrive in new areas through natural migration, but the activities of other species often introduce them. Human activities, such as those who is involved in global commerce and pet trade, are considered to be the most common ways invasive plants, animals, microbes, and other organisms are transported to the new habitats. So basically, An invasive species is a living organism that is not native to the ecosystem where it is introduced. It can be a plant, an animal, or a pathogen. It can cause harm to the economy, the environment, or human health. Human activity can bring it to the new area on purpose or by accident.
So let us tackle epigenetics. First, what is epigenetics? Epigenetics is the study of how your behavior and environment can impact the way your genes functions. Epigenetic alterations, unlike genetic changes, are reversible and do not alter your DNA sequence, but they can alter how your body reads a DNA sequence. So now, let's go to epigenetic of plants. Plant epigenetic changes are involved in regulating many biological phenomena, including silencing of transgenes and transposons, regulation of imprinting, and development. Plant epigenetic changes includes DNA methylation and histone modification. Studies of epigenetics in plants are of great importance. Plants are heavily dependent upon changes in gene expression in order to respond to environmental stimuli, and chromatin-based regulation of gene expression is likely crucial for these responses.
Though change is inevitable, we ought to strive to change for the better instead of the worse. As an individual, we can also do our part to help the surrounding plants in our environment, helping the flora environment in our own way. The first one is reuse, reduce, and recycle anything that we consume daily. This will make us more sustainable as we live our lives by these three words. The next one is growing one's own plants. This not only ensures that the flora environment will flourish, but can potentially benefit ourselves from growing our own plants. Lastly, using natural pesticides on plants. This helps plants grow away from insects and pests without any of the harmful chemicals that could potentially deter the plant's growth. These three are just few examples of what you can do for the flora environment. To truly have an impact, always be consistent and be mindful of our actions towards the flora environment.
With this knowledge, we now know a bit better on how important the biochemical cycle is for both plants and us humans, while understanding our anthropogenic effects towards them too. Let this be a reminder to not take what is for granted and take care of the footprint we leave behind. This has been the Flora Fighters, and our mission now continues with you.